Welcome to the third in a series of Lions Intelligence sessions made exclusively for Lions Live. We've drawn on 67 years worth of unique Cannes Lions data to identify patterns in the winning work that will support you in building your creative capabilities. But why localism? Localism describes a shift in consumer preference towards brands that are geographically close, and often those which reflect the specific needs and behaviours of local communities and markets. But localism, of course, isn't new. Consumers have been increasingly conscious of quality and sustainability, and buying locally often correlates with buying ethically. In May 2020, research firm Kantar found that COVID-19 has driven a surge in localism around the world, with 2/3 of consumers now preferring to buy goods and services from their own country, while 42% overall said they now paid more attention to the origin of products. Even those who are emerging from lockdowns have a renewed commitment to their local communities, and displaced city workers will continue to spend more time in their local areas. There is something incredibly powerful and human about a very specific local insight, as Luis Sanchez, Outdoor Lions jury president in 2021, talked to us about in the first Lions Live.
What happened in Italy in the lockdown? Everybody watched those guys singing in the balconies of their houses. That travels the world, of course, through the digital channels. But in fact, that was an outdoor event that was happening. And people love that and share that. So that's my point. Let's bring flavor, the uniqueness of something that happened in a local scale. So from local to global. I think that's one of the messages that we really have to dig now and seek for this. This is a differentiation in this new world.
So, in our current context, global brands are having to rethink their strategies and take the global and fragmented to local and holistic. At Cannes Lions 2019, we heard a rallying cry for creatives around the globe to lean into local culture and bring a resonance and distinct personality to their storytelling. Here's Silla Levin, CEO of Forsman & Bodenfors Stockholm, and David Guerrero, creative chairman of BBDO Guerrero Manila, talking about the role of local insight in powerful creative.
I think that the culture, wherever it comes from, is a great treasure chest for creativity. Yes. I mean, you don't even need to come from that country specific to find it.
We are in a great position to be culturally sensitive and to bring creativity in, to sort of, draw on local culture and use that as sort of raw material for creativity. And I think that's where originality and relevance comes from.
First introduced in 2019, the culture and context categories sit across 10 lions and were created to recognise the rise of culturally specific creative work, and it's where we've seen this trend most prominently. The jury considers the strength of the creative in relation to local and cultural insights, challenger brand strategy, or breakthroughs on a budget, all features of localism. 8% of all of 2019's trophy wins at Cannes Lions and 13% of shortlisted entries, including the Media Lions Grand Prix, were culture and context entries, showing this is a popular and award-winning type of work. Almost 70% of these trophies were awarded for work that was local to the specific region, country, or location where it was aired, while the remainder were awarded to work for global brands for a local spin. We've dug deep into 85 Lion-winning pieces of work from 6 continents and identified 4 insights that might help you think about how to embed local thinking into your creative capabilities. Amplifying local pride. Finding a specific local point of pride, whether it's behavioural or cultural, emotionally moving or simply funny, is a key factor for success. 24% of culture and context winning entries galvanise communities to celebrate their local area and feel a sense of pride and belonging. 69% of local pride work was for work promoting local brands, with around half specifically encouraging consumers to buy local, and the remaining work was from global brands who leveraged local pride to increase brand affinity. For a local dairy brand, Texchesh Vlogs won a bronze lion for bringing local stories to online communities who would have never have known them otherwise, earning an 11% increase in sales value. And Where You Belong for Russian airline Utair increased sales by 5.2%, challenging the belief that a foreign holiday is more socially acceptable than visiting your homeland. But let's take a look at brand experience and activation Bronze Lion winning Philly Forever, which connected with consumers in creative and original ways specific to the city of Philadelphia, yielding a 1.8% increase in market share in Philadelphia, which is over 2 million more Bud Lights sold.
The Philadelphia Eagles were not supposed to win the Super Bowl. The franchise had never won a Super Bowl before, and they were a 50-1 underdog at the start of the 2017 season. So, when Eagles lineman Lane Johnson offered up this promise,
I'm giving out beer to everybody.
It made all the sense in the world to jump on board and offer to cover the tab. Then, something magical happened. The Eagles started winning, and the team embraced the brand, and the brand embraced the team.
Dilly Dilly became Philly Philly.
The entire city of Philadelphia turned Dilly Dilly into a rallying cry as their underdog football team was making a run to the Super Bowl. And then, the team turned this rallying cry into the Super Bowl winning play. Ultimately, we created a campaign that will never end. A campaign that did more than sell beer, like 2 million more beers. We created a rallying cry for an entire city. One that will stand enshrined in bronze for generations to come.
I'll say it only once. Philly, Philly!
Apply a hyperlocal lens. 46% of culture and context winning campaigns were hyperlocal. That's designed for a clearly defined audience in a specific region or location, and often hinging on very specific cultural or behavioural insight. These campaigns build authentic communication, often through strong social engagement, leading to tangible sales uplift. It's interesting that traditional mediums are often used for hyperlocal work, with 44% of the campaigns we analysed using out-of-home as a significant channel, and 26% using radio. Hyperlocal out-of-home advertising is a natural option when people are confined to a small local area, building intimacy with consumers who interact in real life and in real time, producing amazing user-generated content along the way. The Media Lions Grand Prix, which won for social behaviour and cultural insight, was Air Max graffiti stores. It tapped into the local graffiti culture using geolocation, increased local social engagement by 22%, and local sales by 32% in Brazil. The Parisian Rendezvous increased in-store foot traffic by 50% by hijacking the GPS in self-service scooters to drive consumers directly to the store. And let's take a look at Russian prices for supermarket Plaza Vea, winner of Peru's first ever Gold Lion in PR. The campaign engaged an extremely niche audience, the handful of Peruvian football fans who travelled more than 14,000 kilometres to see their national team play, but the brand reached 4.88 million people and drove sales up by 7.5%.
Мы снизили цены для всех болельщиков из Перу. Им только нужно предоставить паспорт на кассе.
Local community at the core. Whether online or offline, bound by location, interest or situation, loyalty and value are unlocked when brands engage communities. And in 2019, 65% of culture and context winning work centred around local community. #Cognation for Activision set out to change the perception of Call of Duty players by writing, directing and editing hundreds of social films made from inside the game, all celebrating players' true personalities, and it was the best-selling video game in the US in 2018. And Scenting the Hope of Change increased the brand's market share by 1.6% by launching Glade's first ever culturally scented fragrance, recognising the pivotal moment of societal change taking place for Saudi women. But the double Bronze Lion winning open shelves for writers' bookstores saw local influencers and celebrities open their bookshelves and share their recommendations, generating a staggering 910% uplift in online sales for the store.
The store manager, János, asked famous literature lover friends to virtually donate their private bookshelves to them. Many public figures who liked the writer's shop because of the cultural atmosphere magically joined his initiative. More and more writers, musicians, actors, chefs, and journalists happily opened their home's door, and heaps of new customers bought new books through their virtually open bookshelves and recommendations.
Örülök, hogy ennyi irodalomkedvelő csatlakozott a nyitott polcokhoz, és nem gondoltam, hogy benne leszünk a tévében is.
Az élet mégiscsak ezt a koncepciót igazolta, hogy létrehozni egy közösséget, meg nagyon az irodalomra figyelni, hogy az kifizetődő dolog.
Challenge the status quo. 37% of culture and context winning work was for challenger brands who produced disruptive and game-changing work that challenged the status quo in the market. In Kyrgyzstan, online news organisation Kloop campaigned against the kidnapping of brides in the Gold Lion winning Khashoggi. A powerful symbol of traditional marriage was blended with taboo stories of violence against women. The campaign drove an increase in reports from Alakachu victims of 23%, and as a result, 26 police officers were discharged from duty or severely punished. Do Black, the carbon limit credit card, is the first card with a CO2 emission limit. It stops you from overspending, not based on the money you have, but the environmental impact of your consumption. And Fly With Us saw airline Fly Bondi cleverly challenge the spending habits of Argentine politicians, whilst also increasing both awareness and sales. It won 3 Bronze Lions in brand experience and activation, outdoor and social and influencer.
Fly With Us, an invitation to fly low cost and help the country cut public spending. We launched a campaign of tweets and digital posts directly addressed to the congressman. Spread videos explaining the initiative that quickly became viral. We also launched a campaign of posters around and across from Congress, and special billboards comparing current airfares with what legislators would save by flying with Flybondi. And suddenly, a message to 329 people reached the millions we had hoped to reach.
So why do some local pieces of work win at local award shows but not global ones, and vice versa? Well, it's largely due to cultural context. When you submit your work, please be sure to explain how you arrived at your insights and why the execution was relevant and meaningful to your chosen community, sector and region. Cannes Lions juries are international, and there are many jurors for whom English is not their first language. So have in mind how you'd explain your work to someone from France or Mexico or Egypt, because those are the people in the room. For this work, you need to spend more time explaining the context than the brief. Here's the 2019 PR jury president, Michelle Hutton, fresh out of judging at the festival, reflecting on the importance of cultural context.
Your work is going to be judged by people from all corners of the world. So understand that cultural context is extraordinarily important. You know, we had a lot of discussion in the room when cases were presented, and there were often it was often the case that some of the jurors literally didn't really understand the power of the idea, so we had to sometimes stop and explain. So think very carefully about how you present your work. Make it really simple to understand. If there is a really important local market nuance that's critical, make it clear and easy to understand.
So that's that. I hope you've enjoyed this third session in our Creative Guide to Survival series. Please do check out the other episodes on how to recession-proof your work and lo-fi creativity on lovethework.com, where you can also find all of the work featured in this film. The Work is our learning and intelligence platform that features over 200,000 pieces of work, as well as 1,600 talks from a decade of Cannes Lions. And if you have work you think can compete on the global stage, Cannes Lions is now open. please do get in touch if you need help getting started. We'd love to hear from you.